If we are constantly checking on our relationships, are we truly enjoying our relationships?
I do not mean you have to check on somebody or inquire like a policeman. Don't be blind to it. That's what I mean.
So if we use Gen Z lingo, these can be the red flags.
When you are so full of desire, then red flags turn green. You don't want to admit that there are obvious red flags in the relationship because you're looking forward to the next date or to the next sexual encounter. People speak over phone or they sit in front of each other for hours at a stretch. Yet they would never even touch some important points to discuss. Some questions are deliberately avoided.
The part that hormones play in defining our relationships or the way we will proceed with a certain person in our life.
If I'm looking at the other as someone to lean upon, as someone to share my nonsense with in the name of emotions and feelings, then that is not a healthy sign.
Why do you call them nonsense, emotions and feelings? The purpose of life lies in the process of living. Live with clarity, love, freedom. As you can see, I'm quoting from this fantastic book by Acharya Prashant, Truth Without Apology. Welcome to this special feature on NDTV. I am Preeti Dahiya and Acharya Prashant Ji is right now sitting with me for another wonderful round of conversation that we've been having around this book. And we want to expand further on several topics that we've not managed to cover before this. Of course, Acharya Ji has already, to his name, more than 160 titles, and this comes as a fresh one from his, long line of books and the topics that you've been writing on. So, Acharya Ji, how this is truth without apology, how it's a mirror really to all of us for our day-to-day lives. I want you to tell the listener right now the topic on which you paid like the maximum amount of effort and the words really flew without a lot of effort because it was so close to your heart and very crucial observations have been poured into it.
Love. That's the topic.
Mm-hmm. Was it difficult to write or it just was a free flow of words?
It's difficult because it is a free flow. And it's a free flow of the flooded mountain river type.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge is to contain it, channelize it, and make it useful rather than scary.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the biggest force. It's the most powerful thing. It's the very essence of life. And one doesn't want to hold himself back on it. Equally, one wants the book to remain relevant to the general reader and useful and relatable.
Mm-hmm.
So something as important, as pure, as sacred as love had then to be somewhat circumscribed. So that's where the challenge was. It had to be contained but not diluted. It had to be channelized, but not impeded.
Well, you know what? I was keen on discussing the chapter related to society and the norms that you have touched upon. But now that the chapter that's closest to your heart is something that we know.
They are related, by the way, what the society does and what the society does to love.
Yeah. So that's very interesting because now we are going to have this discussion today on this topic of relationships, the great illusion. And this comes around page 121. The chapters here, they start with the concept of loneliness being the first teacher. Is it important to first understand yourself as a lonely being and then seek love? Is that what you are trying to say? What is the concept here?
Because that's the default state anyway. What else can you start from? We are always lonely in the sense we always want stuff. there is some object, some person, some place, some idea, always beckoning, alluring, presenting itself as important. So we are lonely. We want to couple ourselves with something. We want to form a bond. We want to, in fact, not just get attached, we want to be identified. So that is there. And one has to start from there because that's the default state of each human being. What is this inner condition that asks for company? Right? And where did this condition come from? Right? How do I know that I must have this thing or that thing? From where did I get that idea or that feeling? I could just sweep it all away by calling it natural. I could say it is human nature. It is very natural to ask for company or to ask for objects or to ask for this or that. It is very natural. But that puts an end to all inquiry. Is that really natural? Or have we absorbed it from somewhere that life is incomplete without this or that? And in fact, it is this idea that is causing the incompletion. Maybe incompletion is not a natural state, but an idea that we have absorbed. And that idea is absorbed since the very beginning. So it becomes our default state. Default, all pervasive, very common, very usual, but still not natural. Not natural because it is something we have taken upon us. It is like clothes we are wearing. Right? So one starts from there. Why do I think if I get that house, that car, or that man or that woman, then I'll be no more lonely? Right? Isn't loneliness a concept then? The way I put it is loneliness is a crowd within.
Yeah, that's the second chapter in this. Yeah.
Loneliness is a lot of noises within, a lot of voices within that are constantly telling you are lonely.
Yeah.
And none of those voices is your own. You're not there. It's a crowd in there. Right? And that's what loneliness is. And that's why any attempt to get rid of loneliness by coupling with this, that, person, object, whatever, will not succeed.
So can we say that the starting point of any relationship is the start of the fact that love being lonely? You have to accept that I'm okay with being just me, and then you start building your relationships.
Are you asking about how it ought to be or how it usually is?
No, how it should be, because how it usually is the mirror in this book. We've been reading this. So I'm just trying to put things in context that what is the starting point of a relationship? First, I need to have a relationship with myself.
Yeah.
Then only I can have a healthy relationship with another being.
Yes. There can be no clear blueprint or prototype for how a healthy relationship should begin. But there are very, very visible indicators pointing towards an unhealthy relationship. If I'm looking at the other as some kind of a crutch or some kind of a stuff to plug my inner hollow, that is not a healthy sign. If I'm looking at the other as someone to lean upon, as someone to share my nonsense with in the name of emotions and feelings, then that is not a healthy sign.
Why do you call them nonsense, emotions and feelings?
Because they don't make sense even to ourselves. It's not
all emotions.
Do your emotions make sense to you? Are your emotions really yours? Take away a few hormones and none of them will remain. How are they yours? Do your emotions arise with your permission? They don't. How are they really yours? Since they don't make sense even to the emotional one, it's proper to call them nonsense.
But that chemical locha is happening in my body, right?
Yes, but is your body really yours? Does it take your permission to do its stuff?
I mean, I don't have a control over them.
Yes. But then I identify with it. I say my body. How is it even my body? I mean, it's a thing of physical nature. A rose like a wave will fall like a wave, and it remains to be questioned to what extent can I afford to be identified with it.
I have to say it's easier said than done. It's easier read than implemented for a
No, you don't.
person
No,
who's
nobody has
covering a
to.
journey.
Nobody has to implement it. This book or any kind of wisdom never demands implementation. All it asks for is understanding. If you have understood, implementation happens in its own little ways, very subtle ways, without being forced, without being arranged, without being planned. It just happens. You don't have to rush yourself or push yourself into it. It will happen. Don't worry about implementation. The question rather is, do we understand?
Okay, so when we dive further into this chapter, we go through various emotions which are nonsensical to a philosopher's mind, but for a common person, we are suffering at the hands of those relations, almost, and emotions on a daily basis. We talk about the sense of insecurity that one person feels when he or she is in a relationship with another person. There are two ways of looking at insecurity. One is so much of affection that you feel protective about that person, and you want that person to be with you all your life, and until death do us apart. And the other is that he or she is so insecure that there is lack of trust. So how do we compile these two? And insecurity, again, is a negative word. It's not seen positively, but it's part of every relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of relationship because we are who we are. As long as we remain ignorant, we will remain insecure about the other. And that is a lot of violence towards the other. Please understand. It's not that we love the other so much that the thought of losing the other makes us insecure. It's just that a lot of our, what should I say, comforts and conveniences and identities, they depend on the other. Therefore, we want to hold the other. We want to clutch the other, like a thing useful. If something is useful to you, you don't want to let go of it, do you? So that's what possessiveness is. That's what insecurity about that thing is. The more that thing is useful to you, the more that thing panders to your self-interest, the more closely you will want to guard it. Thicker will be the vault you put it in. And that is often touted as love. It is not. It is just your own selfish interests taking upon a holy name, which is very misleading. Most of that which we call as love is actually just self-interest. Real love is possible only when you know that the other cannot bring anything to you. You relate to the other to share, not to gain, right? And then that can be rightfully called as love.
So that's where we compare the two things. Is it valuable or merely vulnerable? Is love making us vulnerable, or is it a valuable thing in our life that we want to live with?
Yes. First of all, there has to be value within you, and then you can share it with the other. That you can call as love. On the other hand, all that you carry within is hurts and wounds born out of ignorance. Then there is just vulnerability. And even if you relate to the other, all you will be sharing is wounds. And see, just because you are gripping the other tightly, that does not mean there is love or affection. Right? A jeweler holds on to his wares very tightly. Even the street vegetable vendor would not tolerate a stray animal coming and picking on his veggies. That does not mean there is love. Just that the vendor expected some gain out of selling those fruits or vegetables. And now he seems to be losing what he desired of. So he's angry. That does not mean that there is any love. Love, first of all, is a very internal thing, very individual thing. It is not a thing between two people. First of all, love is a thing between you and yourself. First of all, love is your attraction towards your own inner purity. And then that purity shines through in all your relationships. That is secondary love. But for that secondary love to be great, to be lovely, first of all, the primary thing must be set all right. It would sound strange, I know, and I can gather from your expression. But love is, first of all, a thing within each person. I ought to have a taste for the inner sky, for purity, for not being little or confined or scared. I don't want to be all that. And that is love. I love myself so much that I cannot allow myself to lead a petty life. Do you get a sense of what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That is love. You can also relate it to self-respect. You can relate it to fulfilling your potential.
So that point really gets me to think that the nature of love is also to evolve. A person who's evolving can perhaps admit to the nature of evolving love, which is changing through different stages of life with the other person as well.
Yes, of course. You see, inwardly, one is on a journey.
Yeah.
Right? Hopefully, on an upward journey. Right?
Not to come down.
Not to come down. Inwardly, one is continuously becoming better, and that is the purpose of life. And if one is related to the other, that upwardness, that newly gained height would obviously be shared. And the nature of relationship must accommodate that, not just accommodate that, celebrate that. I have become better. I'm no more the person you once related to.
Yeah.
Please celebrate that instead of complaining, instead of saying, oh, you have changed, you are no more the same person. Yes, I'm no more the same person, I'm a better one now. Cherish it. That must be there. And when that is there, then you know you have a nice relationship at hand. On the other hand, if the other starts feeling insecure, why are you getting better? Why are you changing? Why are you expanding your horizons? Why are you traveling more? Why are you earning more? Why are you reading more? Why are you getting wiser and deeper? Why are you becoming less afraid? Right? Why is your inner landscape becoming cleaner? No, I don't like all that. You remain the 18-year-old that I once proposed to. If you must remain that.
Yeah, the college kid.
You must remain that college kid. Otherwise, I'll accuse you of disloyalty and infidelity. You have changed. No, this is sickness.
Yeah. In fact, I was coming to this point because in our daily, observations around us also, we see, especially in husband-wife relationships, two people must have fallen in love in their early 20s. They got married and now they are in their mid-40s or whatever. And both keep on accusing each other of being a changed person, and that has affected their family life or whatever. Something as simple as that, as a man starting to going to gym. The woman becomes insecure. Whom are you trying to impress?
Right.
I'm the same person. Right. Why are you changing yourself?
Right.
But perhaps the guy is just trying to be more healthy and, evolving. So what advice would you give, Acharya Ji, to a couple in a situation like that fell in love when they were in college, are in their mid-40s now?
Accompany him to the gym.
Yeah.
That's the advice.
Evolve together?
Evolve together? What? And if the other one doesn't want you to go to the gym, you must still keep going to the gym.
Find your own time.
Find your own time. And ultimately, you see, you are born alone, you die alone. Your first accountability is towards yourself. All your relationship exist because of you. Right? You are at the center of all your relationship. So take care of yourself, be good to yourself. Only when there is light within can it radiate outwards. If you extinguish the light within, there is no way you can be of any use to others. And This was, by the way, was a new one even for me. Why are you going to the gym? Whom are you trying to impress?
No, but this is a very common complaint. Somebody just takes up a sport. These days, pickleball has become very interesting. Golf has become an interesting sport. And, especially men, I think it's their way of unwinding. They take to a sport. And women who don't have any other outlet, who was used to going out on dinner dates on weekends, suddenly finds that the husband is busy playing golf. So this brings a lot of friction in relationships.
The very purpose of love is to help the other rise, right? Instead, if love is of a type that gets scared on seeing the other rise, then it was never love in the first place.
But that's also a very fabric of the society. I'm talking about the Indian context, where a lot of relationships are built on arranged basis, where people tried to fall in love. They showed everyone that they are in love. They started a family together.
Yeah.
But after, let's say, 5, 10, 15 years, that starts unwinding.
Must be really difficult to bear, no? I just shudder at the even thought of it. Must be very difficult to bear.
But I'm going to connect that to
all the
our
pretense
society.
Starts falling through.
I'm going to connect that to our society. We've been quoting numbers about the fact that India is one of the countries which has the lowest divorce rates. Is that something to be proud of or something to worry about?
Neither. You see, if first of all the foundation of the relationship, the association, was strong, if the relationship was built from the right place, the right center, right ingredients, then it's a great thing if there is no divorce. It's a great thing. On the other hand, if the relationship was faulty even to begin with, then it cannot be a great thing if there is no divorce. So, divorce comes later, always. The first thing is the quality of the relationship, the quality, the strength of the very foundation the relationship is built on. If the relationship is built on the right foundation, it is a thing of celebration that the relationship has been lasting and there is no divorce, no acrimony, nothing. Wonderful. On the other hand, if the two got together on greed, on ignorance, on lust, on fear, on loneliness, on social pressure, and they are still carrying on, I do not know whether this continuity is a problem bigger than divorce.